And once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's call. Glad to be back into 2013. Glad to be started into a new year. As a heads up for everyone that's already logged on a little bit early, you're definitely going to want to have a piece of pen. Yes, have a piece of a pen and a chunk of paper ready. No, grab yourself a pen and paper or pen and pencil. I know we say that there's going to be some note taking every week, but this time I definitely mean it. You're going to want to take some pretty key notes on some pretty key slides, and I'll point that out to y'all as we go. But definitely make sure you have that handy and ready to go. Thank you all so much for taking the time and committing to your business. And committing your time to your business to learn with us tonight and spend some time with us tonight. We definitely appreciate it. We will get started right on time. We will end right on time for two reasons. One, we want to be respectful of your time and, again, grateful for the time you spend with us. And two, and right after this, Stacy Wallace, our upline, sister to the CEO, amazing leader with Solavei, does a call every week on Thursdays right after this one. So it's a great opportunity for you to hop from one call to the other and get a bunch of good information. So we'll definitely show you how to do that at the end of this call. Looks like we're just under 2 minutes away from the top of the hour, so I'll mute out one more time, and we'll get started right at the top of the hour. Thanks, everybody. And real quickly, ladies and gentlemen, just as a reminder, I'm going to bring this into focus. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not, but if you're looking at the Join Me control panel and you see the little speech bubble right next to the phone, the little speech bubble is an opportunity to chat. If you bring that up, you'll be able to see questions. The one question I see so far is somebody's asking no internet audio. You absolutely can do internet audio through this. If you hit the little phone key next to the chat, it'll let you choose internet audio. Although I'd recommend calling in from a phone for the main reason you can just throw the phone on speaker. Everybody in the room can hear. The audio still syncs up. And if you're with Solavei, which you should be, you have unlimited minutes. So why not take advantage of the fact that you do have unlimited talk? So go ahead and enjoy that. If you do have any questions along the way, feel free to type them in, but also tag it with your email address, because I'm not sure we're going to have enough time tonight. We're going to blaze through a lot of information. So if you do have any questions, either email it to me during or tag them in the chat with your email so I can get back to you at the end of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and move everything back to where it was, and then go ahead and bring this back up. Oh, let's go back one. Looks like we will get started here in just a couple seconds. All right, and my clock does show the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, thank you all so much for choosing to join us tonight, choosing to invest in yourselves, choosing to invest in your Solavei business. I promise you it will be time well spent. We do have a lot to cover tonight, so if you haven't already done so, be sure to grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper. We are going to be taking some fabulous notes tonight. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff, and folks, I'm going to tell you about some stuff that's got me just so excited I can barely sleep at night. You know, I have 2 Chihuahuas that live with us at home, and if you know anything about dogs, specifically Chihuahuas, you know that they shake and shake and shake and just quiver anytime anything remotely exciting happens, and that's how I feel sometimes when I think about Solavei or when I'm talking to somebody about Solavei. You'll notice I'm already talking kind of fast, and I'm doing my best to slow myself down, because that's what happens when I get excited. I start talking fast, and I start just rattling a bunch of information off, and I want to make sure you get as much of this as possible. But please understand, if I'm talking too fast for you, this is being recorded. It will be posted, and it's simply out of pure excitement for Solavei. We're going to start tonight with some very, very basic rudimentary stuff, some fundamentals, and that's because those fundamentals are going to be the basis for some of the new, cool, exciting, fun things that we're going to show for you tonight. But again, I don't know where you're at. You could have just joined Solavei a day ago, an hour ago, a minute ago, or you could have been, you could be my upline. You could have been in Solavei longer than me. So because I don't know where everybody's at, we're going to start with some baseline stuff. If it's a little bit too fundamental for you, just bear with us. Trust me, we'll get to where you want to go very quickly. If this is new for you, then enjoy it. Take notes. Come back and watch this time and time again. I'll be posting the recording shortly after this call. So the first thing we're going to do is actually try to understand our product. And let's jump into this, folks. Let's jump into some Solavei fun facts. Since its launch on the 21st of September since it's launched. And I want to kind of highlight this date for just a second, folks. The 21st of September. We've gone through the end of September, so we'll say September to October, October to November, November to December, December to January. We're right in between 3 to 4 months of actually being able to enroll people in Solavei and start earning money with Solavei. Only 3 to 4 months so far. This is where we're at. We are a very, very new company, but at the same time, we have learned so much, we've gained so much, and we've got the leadership that's been around long enough to do it right the first time. It's been absolutely incredible. But just in that short amount of time, that quarter of a year, we've already paid out close to $3 million to our members, and we're on pace to hit $50 million in 2013. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty cool. Stop and think about that for just a second, folks. How much of that money is going to be yours? Could you live on even 0.5% of that, or even 0.25% of that? I know I could. You know, folks, this is the only business that's been backed by investors and leadership from companies like Amazon, T-Mobile, Dr. Pepper, AT&T, Sprint, and even a former congressman is on the board of directors. We've received positive mainstream press from CNN Money, Newswire, Yahoo, and so much more. You know, folks, the other cool thing about this product is it doesn't require becoming an agent or a website fee or an ongoing anything. It's not the typical MLM-y, spammy, Ponzi garbage that you get hit with, or at least I get hit with on a day-to-day basis. It's straight up affiliate marketing. It's just affiliate marketing. I don't have to pay anything else to become a member and sell it. I don't have to buy a case of juice every single month and then store it in my garage and then pawn it off on eBay later. I don't have to do any of that. I simply do the same thing I did with my other cell phone provider, and that's sign up and then share. You know, I was doing that with Verizon for a long time. I was a fan of Verizon when I was on it. But you know what? Verizon didn't send me jack squat to share any information about them. I just did it because I enjoyed their product. You know what now? Solavei and T-Mobile is just as good, if not better service from where I'm sitting, and I get paid to share it with everybody I know, love, and trust. It's a beautiful thing. And I've been compensated quite well, again, in 3 to 4 short months' time, and I'm going to show you how to do the same. You know, folks, there's no personal volume or group volume requirements either. It's straight up just affiliate marketing. Again, if you want to learn more about the leadership team, because I think that speaks volumes about the product that we have and the guy running this thing, go to solavei.com/about/leadership team. Check it out for yourself. Read the backstory. Read the resumes of these guys. It'll absolutely positively blow your mind. You know, our product is very, very simple, and I'm only going to keep this slide up for a second because it's pretty straightforward. We are $49 a month, unlimited talk, text, and data. We give you up to 4 gigs of the highest speed 4G data you can possibly get. Folks, if you even compare that to T-Mobile, because we ride the T-Mobile network, if you compare that to T-Mobile, that exact same product is $70 a month. They actually just came out with some new non-contract pricing, so I think it might even be $60 a month, but we're still $10 cheaper than that. And again, we have something that none of the people on this chart have. We pay people to share with others. So again, this webinar is going to be directed to the business builders, the people that want to share, the people that want to get engaged. Just like the email I sent out before, if this is just a way for you to save money on your cell phone bill, great. You're a customer of mine. I value you. I love you. I appreciate you. But this is not the webinar for you. This is a webinar designed to teach people how to be better, teach people how to achieve more, and teach people how to have true, long-lasting, residual success with Solavei. That's the people we're targeting, and that's what separates Solavei from everyone else on the market. That's what gets me pumped. Folks, we have 220 million prospects waiting for us to share that very message with them right now. 220 million. You are not going to run out of leads in a lifetime, in 2 lifetimes, in your kids' lifetimes. You are not going to run out of people to talk to. And look at that coverage map, folks. We are all across the U.S., Alaska, Puerto Rico. We are everywhere. So get out and start talking to people about it. And we'll talk more about how to do that in just a second. First, let's understand the difference, because, you know, I want to give you guys some not only just some hype and some rah-rah, which I think you're starting to feel, but I want to give you some meat and potatoes, because I feel like a good training should have a little bit of both. It should get you pumped. It should get your blood flowing. For what I always call it, I tell my wife, I need to get my battery recharged. And so when I join training, sometimes it's for that rah-rah and that kick in the pants and to get my battery recharged. But at the same time, it's also so I can learn facts and learn info and be able to actually help myself down the road. So let's talk a little bit about some of the drier stuff, but some stuff that will help you answer questions that you're going to come across as you're sharing Solavei with others. Let's talk about the difference between CDMA and GSM. There's 4 top carriers in the country, folks. We ride the T-Mobile network. So anytime you see T-Mobile, interchange that in your head with Solavei, because we just are on top of the T-Mobile network. Anytime you see T-Mobile, it's Solavei. It's very easy to do that interchanging in your head. Verizon and Sprint are CDMA. It's primarily a technology that's only used in the United States, and it creates a situation where there are no SIM cards involved. GSM has the SIM card. That's what a typical SIM card looks like, by the way. CDMA phones make it very hard to switch phones. You know, if I'm wanting to swap phones with my wife for the day, because I'm on a GSM carrier, one of the things I like is I can just switch the SIM cards in our phones. So that way when somebody goes to call my wife, it goes to that SIM card. It doesn't matter whether it's in my phone, her phone, a borrowed phone, a phone we just got off of Craigslist. That phone call to her, that text message to her will go to whatever phone has that SIM card. With Sprint and Verizon, you can't do that. You've got to call, you've got to wait for hours on hold with customer service, you've got to pray the phone that you just got off of Craigslist has a paid in full bill and isn't considered bad or in collections or any of that nonsense. A GSM phone, folks, it just works. It's a beautiful setup. And so that's the first thing I need you to separate in your mind, is when you're talking to people about Solavei, if they're coming from Verizon or Sprint, their phones will not work with us. They need to get an AT&T or T-Mobile phone. And it's very easy from then on to switch phones back and forth. And for a tech junkie like me, someone who probably could use a 12-step program when it comes to electronics, that's a very, very cool thing, and that's a very cool feature. The other paradigm-shifting thing you've got to think about here, folks, is, again, this GSM technology is used in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia. The U.S. is the only country that's a little jacked up when it comes to our cell phones. And I say that with all the love in my heart, but we do things a little backwards. We get into these weird 2-year marriages with our cell phone companies just so they'll save us, you know, $200 or $300 off of our phone, and then we're married to them for the next 2 years. And whether they treat us good or not, whether they get our billing right or not, whether or not we have to sit on hold for hours and talk to somebody in a foreign country or not, it doesn't really matter. We've signed our life away to them for 2 years. Folks, people in other countries don't do that. They buy their hardware in one place, and then they just pop in a SIM card from whatever carrier happens to be treating them the best that day. They don't have contracts. They don't have commitments. They don't have phone subsidies. They don't have any of that crap. All they have is, I like this phone. I bought this phone at my local electronics store. I want service on my phone, so I'm going to go to brand A service. I'm going to pop that brand A SIM card into my phone, and it'll just work. Almost all the phones in other countries are sold unlocked and ready to accept just about any SIM card. And it's working for them. It's working great. Think about it this way. If you got a call from, let's say, American Online or AT&T Internet or Verizon Internet or Comcast Internet or Time Warner Internet and said, hey, we're going to ship you a $300 computer, but by the way, we're going to raise your rate $20 a month and you have to commit to us for 2 years, but hey, we'll send you a $300 laptop so you can enjoy your internet service. Would you do it? Some people actually might say yes to that question, and that absolutely befuddles me. You don't get to choose which computer. You have a limited number of choices. You're married to a company that can treat you however poorly or goodly they want to treat you, and you're just kind of stuck with them for life. That doesn't make any sense to me, folks. We need to break this back down. We need to separate the equipment from the service, and that's a cool thing that Solavei does is, hey, if you want service, great. Pop in our SIM card. If we do something that you don't like, let us know and give us a chance to fix it. If we don't fix it, you're not in a contract. You're not under 2-year handcuffs. We're not going to beat you to death. Go get another SIM card. Go back to another carrier. Go back to Verizon and Sprint where you're locked into that phone and that contract and that customer service for 2 years. Have a nice day. You have the option, though. You have the freedom, and that's what it's all about. So just kind of a little interesting backstory there about GSM versus CDMA. Let's continue understanding our product and understanding, once again, folks, I want to reiterate this, the phone number follows the SIM card. So if this is my phone number, I can take the SIM card that's attached to that phone number and I can put it in an iPhone. I can put it in a Galaxy S3. I can put it in a Nexus 4. I can put it in any phone I want. As long as that phone is a GSM capable phone, as long as that phone can take a SIM card. So again, as long as that phone comes from AT&T or T-Mobile, I'm off to the races. Now, we're doing some network upgrades, and we're going to talk about them here in a second, but for the most part, I want you to understand those are the basics. Does it come from AT&T or T-Mobile? Game on. Does it come from Sprint or Verizon or any of those other weird carriers? Then game not so much on. So again, folks, we're looking for the T-Mobile and the AT&T phones to work because those phones will accept our SIM card and let us transfer back and forth. Speaking of iPhone, the number one objection you'll probably get, there's going to be a couple we'll talk about, is, but does it work with the iPhone? And folks, you're talking to an Apple guy. One of the cool new things I'm doing tonight is using Apple Keynote instead of PowerPoint. And Keynote has a lot of cool things. I'm an Apple guy. All my computers are Macintosh computers. I live in the app world. I have more Mac products than I know what to do with. I get the love of iPhone, folks, but at the same time, do you know what my phone is right now? It's a Galaxy Note 2, and I love it. It's gotten me away from the iPhone, and I will not go back to the iPhone. I will not give up my Galaxy S2 until they bring out an iPhone worthy of beating the Note 2, and I don't see that anytime in the horizon. But for those of you that are married to your iPhone, you have my respect, you have my understanding. You can absolutely positively bring your AT&T unlocked iPhone to Solavei. For now, there's only a couple of hiccups, and most of us on the call already know about this, but I want to make sure it's clear. For right now, it's only Edge or 2G data in some areas and visual voicemail. Now, visual voicemail is going to be resolved soon, and it's not a big deal to call into your voicemail versus hitting the play button and having your voicemail play. It's one extra step. That's never been a deal breaker. The Edge speed has been a little bit of a deal breaker for some people, but folks, I want you to understand that T-Mobile and Apple have already announced that the next iteration of iPhone, and possibly the existing iPhone 5, is going to be on T-Mobile, hence available for Solavei, sometime in 2013. In fact, the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer for T-Mobile, expects that to happen around February, March, or April, sometime in the first quarter of 2013. Well, folks, think about this for just a second. I already talked to you about the explosive growth that we've incurred having this small hiccup and only being around for 3 to 4 months. So what do you think is going to happen here in just another short 90 to 120 days when we do get the iPhone fully functional, when it can work at its full speeds, and when it can be blazingly fast, all for $49 a month with unlimited talk, text, and web? What do you think is going to happen to your team? So let me ask you a question. If you're waiting around, if you're one of those people on anybody's team, whether it's my team or anybody else's, if you're one of those people waiting around to see how well the iPhone works and how long it takes and la-di-da-di-da, what do you think is going to happen when that does hit? If you've only got a team of one, then your growth is going to be dependent on you. But if you've already built a solid foundation, if you've already built a team of 10, 12, 20, or 100 people, what do you think is going to happen to that level of team once the iPhone becomes fully available? It's going to get crazy good, crazy fast for you. And that's what we're going to teach you how to do tonight, is build that foundation. That's what all of this is leading up to. Really quickly, for those of you that want to scribble some cities down, look at the names of these cities. These are the cities that already have the iPhone functioning. This is where you should be targeting people that already are in love with the iPhone. So who do you know in New York, Newark, Boston, Philly, Detroit, Dallas, so on? Who do you know in any or all of these cities that's already on an iPhone? You need to be thinking about those people. Start scribbling down names, because trust me, they'll come in handy very, very soon. Those are the people you want to target. And here, again, folks, in about 3 months or so, maybe less, maybe more, it's not going to matter. We're all going to be rocking iPhones if that's the phone that we choose to use. Now, you'll see this come up time and time again. You've already saw it once. I'm going to drop it in one more time, folks. There's a reason I keep doing this Solavei Flash, and that's because we're going to break this training up into a couple of smaller, easy-to-digest trainings for the future. You know, I understand that the people that are on this call are not the only people that are ever going to join Solavei, so I want you to be able to show this to anyone that you get involved with, anyone that says, yep, I'm a builder, I'm somebody who wants to rock this thing, I'm ready to make great money. The first thing you're going to do is take them through about what will be broken down to in about 4 15-minute videos and walk them through each section and help answer their questions along the way. So you're going to see this time and time again. We just learned all about our product and why our product is so awesome. So now let's take a quick run through of the enrollment process. Because believe it or not, folks, I've had people who are rock stars in other opportunities, have a huge database of people they could be contacting, and so far they haven't brought in maybe one person. They haven't brought in maybe 2 people. And honest to goodness, folks, in talking to a lot of these people, whether they had a database or not, they're actually for the most part, from what I could tell, scared of what would happen if somebody actually said yes. They're scared of what would happen if somebody said, all right, I'm ready to go. They're scared because they haven't seen the enrollment process except for maybe when they were enrolled or maybe one other time. So we're going to walk through this very slowly, relatively slowly, I should say. We're already, running a little bit short on time, but we're going to walk through this, and I'm going to point out the gotchas and put some of this fear to rest, because it's really not that scary of a process to get enrolled with Solavei. I've helped literally hundreds of people do it. I know what I'm talking about when I say it's easy. Trust me, folks, you can't fear success, otherwise success will never come. You've just got to jump in with both feet. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going to happen. The first thing they're going to do is go to your replicated site. And your replicated site is something that everybody gets, again, for free. We're not some scammy MLM that says, oh, well, we need a $20 replicated site fee every month to make you successful. No, you're going to get replicated sites. There's going to be new ones coming. It's part of the awesomeness that is Solavei. So you're just going to send people to solavei.com/your-username. Make sure you pick an appropriate and meaningful username, because that will be your replicated site for life. And when they get there, they'll see the website, and all they'll need to do is come up here and click on this enroll button right at the top, or this big blue register now if they want to join the webinar on the 15th. There's also some blue enroll buttons down here lower on the website. All they'll do is click that. They'll be taken to the first screen, which is simply check your coverage. They're going to simply pop in their zip code number and make sure that they have Solavei available in their area. They'll hit check zip code and move on to the next screen. Now, again, folks, remember, no Verizon or Sprint phones. That's the first thing we need to check, is make sure they're not trying to bring over a Sprint or a Verizon phone. The second thing we need to check is make sure we send them the proper SIM card. Remember when I put the SIM card up on the screen, you saw a gold chip with a little bit of white plastic around it? Well, there's 3 different sizes of SIM cards in play right now. There's 3 different types of SIM cards available for cell phone, GSM cell phones. There's what's called the regular size SIM, there's what's called the micro SIM, and there's what's called the mini SIM. Now, folks, don't let those names confuse you. There's not going to be a test on this later. You don't need to really know the difference. All you need to understand is the gold chip at the center of all that plastic is all that matters. That's what is the SIM card. That's what controls the phone. That's what controls the SIM. All the plastic around it is literally just plastic. So if you're ever not sure, if you know that you're going to be getting them a phone, and maybe they don't have a phone in hand yet, but you know you're going to be getting them a phone, and you know it's going to be a T-Mobile phone or an AT&T phone that you're pretty sure is compatible, and it's not a Verizon, it's not a Sprint phone, but you're not sure what size SIM it takes, go ahead and just order a regular size SIM, because guess what, folks? You can trim away that plastic. You can buy tools on Amazon.com that are just like a 3-hole punch. You just put the SIM in, you punch it down, and it immediately trims away the necessary plastic to turn it from a regular SIM to a micro SIM. Or it trims away enough plastic to go from a micro SIM to a nano SIM. And if you're scared about even using a 3-hole punchy type tool on a SIM and you don't even want to go that far, well, then just go into your local iPhone repair kiosk that's in pretty much every mall in the country ×4, or on every corner, or any cell phone repair store, and just say, hey, can you trim this SIM down from X SIM to X SIM for me? They'll charge you less than $5 and they'll get it done. So if you ever need to just pop in a device ID number to make that a go, all you need to do is look at the bottom there, take a second and scribble down that number. Pop in that device ID number. It'll send out a regular size SIM that can always be trimmed down. The other reason we're sending out regular size SIM, folks, is because short of the Galaxy S3, the iPhone 5, and the iPhone 4 or 4S, every other phone on the planet pretty much takes a regular size SIM anyway. So it's going to fit a good 80 to 90% of the phones out there. It's just the safest play. It's the safest bet. But again, don't let the need for an IMEI or this device ID screen scare you at all. It's straightforward. It just wants to make sure, 1, that we're not trying to activate any Verizon or Sprint phones, and 2, that we send the right size SIM. It's not going to tie this IMEI number to the SIM that we're sent. It's not going to do anything like that. You could use this. Everyone on the call could use this, and it'd still absolutely positively work. The last and only other got you that's part of enrollment, because folks, after this screen, it's put in your name, address, and credit card information. And anyone who's ever used the internet at all in the last 5 years should be able to figure out how to put in their name, address, and credit card information onto a website. It's nothing complicated at all. So this is the last and only kind of hiccup or gotcha along the way. It's very, very straightforward. And it's a question of to port or not to port. That is the answer. To port simply means, are you going to bring your number from AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, whoever you're coming from? And not porting means, no, I'm not going to port my number over. I'm just going to have Solavei assign me a brand new number. Now, when I was first doing Solavei, my instant knee-jerk reaction was, I gots to port. I gots to keep my number. Everybody knows that number. Everybody likes me. Everybody knows me. I love my number. My number is me. I am my number. It was almost like a part of my identity. And then I stopped and, during a meeting with Ryan Wirch in Tulsa, the CEO was there talking to a lot of leaders in Tulsa. He said, I had the same feeling. I felt the same way. But then I realized that by getting a new number, I forced myself into this really cool situation where I immediately had to do what? And we kind of stopped and thought about it, and we're like, well, he probably had to send out some emails and some phone calls and some text messages saying, hey, by the way, I got a new number. Well, that creates a situation, folks, where guess what? Now people are going to ask him, why did you get a new number? Well, I got a new number because I joined Solavei. It's $49 a month, unlimited talk, text, and web. And by the way, just by sharing this with you, I potentially make money. Would you like to learn more? It created an opportunity. It created a natural transition to share this with others. So again, what I always tell people now, folks, if you plan on being a business builder, I would have you strongly consider just getting a new number. It makes the enrollment process easier for you. It makes the enrollment process easier for people you're sharing this with. Plus, it forces you to share this with others in a very natural, cohesive, conversational way. So that's why I would strongly encourage you to have Solavei assign you a new number. But I understand not everyone wants to do that, so that's completely fine. If you do say, I want an existing number, you'll put in that phone number twice, make sure it is portable, make sure it is something that can be ported to Solavei, and if it is, that's fine. You will move forward. Your number will not be ported that instant. It will not have anything change with your current service. Nothing will change at all. It will just be attached to the SIM card that gets sent out. But again, it will not change your service in any way. In fact, let's take a look at some of these enrollment notes. Again, the remaining steps here, billing, shipping, username, and password. Anybody can do this. This is not a scary process at all. Just keep in mind with your username, when you're choosing that, it can't be changed. So don't make an incredibly complicated username. Don't make it hard, difficult, profound, profane, anything like that. Just make it simple so you can say, hey, check out my replicated site. It's solavei.com/AlexSpencer is my username. Again, keep in mind the active enrolling does not mess with your current service in any way, shape, or form. Let's take this from both directions. If I got Solavei to assign me a brand new number, do you think Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, anyone's going to even know that happened? They're not going to know or care. It's not going to mess with my current service at all. Let's say I am porting my number over. Well, just the fact that they're going to attach that phone number to the SIM, that SIM isn't activated yet. Remember, that's the heart, that's the brain of the phone. So until that SIM gets put in the mail and sent to you, and then you put it in the phone and activate it, your old service with AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, whoever you're with, will continue on the same as always. Nothing will change with that. The cancellation fee or transfer of service, again, will not happen until you receive your SIM and activate it. You can take up to 30 days from the day that you enroll and have us send you your SIM to activate. That's going to be an important factor here in just a little bit. Again, I'm not encouraging you to wait those full 30 days. If you're as excited as I was and raring to go, then by all means, don't let me get in your way. But it's important for you to know that is an option. And again, if you do port, if you do have us transfer one number for another, the advantage there is that we'll cancel, we'll break up with your old carrier for you. We'll let them know, hey, this line is now ours, and that line will automatically be taken off your old Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile bill. You will not get assessed a cancellation fee on the spot, though. I swear, some people think that is the second, if they're under contract, if they're under the 2-year handcuff with Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, the second they cancel, I swear, some people believe the Gestapo is going to come pound down their door and kneecap them over a $200 to $300 cancellation fee. Folks, it doesn't work that way. It never has, it never will. Take it from somebody who has literally broken more cell phone contracts than he cares to remember, and if you don't believe me, feel free to talk to my wife. She loves watching me do it, let me tell you. But with these cell phone contracts, folks, all that happens is they quietly attach a early termination fee to your last month's bill. And again, that knowledge alone will be coming in handy for us very, very soon. You can and should, though, start enrolling other people as soon as you're done enrolling yourself. So you don't have to wait for your SIM card to arrive. You don't have to wait to activate it. You don't have to wait for a written invitation from me or anyone else to start sharing Solavei with others. You can just get on the stick and start doing it yourself. You can get on the phone, on the email, on the text messaging, whatever it takes. You can start sharing it with others. The second you enroll with Solavei, you'll immediately have that replicated site ready to go. That's the enrollment process. Well, what happens after a couple of days when we finally do get the SIM card, folks? Let's talk about the activation process. Because again, people not only are scared of the enrollment process, but now I have this person that's in limbo. So what if I did it wrong? What if something goes wrong? I'm scared of my own success. How do I activate? Alex, help! I get these calls pretty much every Wednesday or Tuesday or Monday. And folks, again, it couldn't be simpler. Don't let something new be something scary. Those two things, regardless of anything with Solavei, new should never equal scary. New is awesome. Change is good. Embrace the new. Go to activate.solavei.com. It's a simple process. And folks, here's your golden parachute. Here's the, oh crap, something went wrong. Memorize this number. It's 4 typical digits and a word. 1866 Solavei. If anything goes wrong during activation, if something doesn't come out right, if you're just not feeling it, don't be a hero. Get customer service on the phone. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they're good at. That's what they're paid for. Call 1866 Solavei and engage them. But it shouldn't be that hard of a process. You shouldn't even need to do that. All you'll do when you're at activate.solavei.com is put in your member ID. It's sent to you an email when you first signed up. It's sent to your customer an email when they first signed up. It's on their back office if they ever log into my.solavei.com. They'll put in their order ID, again from an email they receive, or from the packing label that's actually the front label that the SIM card is shipped in. They'll put in their account number from their previous carrier and their password from their previous carrier, again, if porting. So again, if you don't want to worry about that rigmarole and make sure the port goes through and all this technical mumbo-jumbo, and you want to be a business builder and you want to share this with others and you want to make another money, let your phone number go. It hasn't served you that well in the past. It will offer you an opportunity by changing it to a different number to quickly, easily, and conversationally share Solavei with others. And again, it makes for a much easier activation. Okay, we've talked about the iPhone being one of the bigger ejections. Now that we're done talking about the enrollment and the activation process, let's talk about the ever-hated, the ever-dreaded contract/early termination fee myth. I bet every single person on this call, unless they joined 2 hours ago, has probably heard, oh, Solavei sounds great, but I'm in a contract. And I'd be willing to bet that 8 to 9 out of 10 of you immediately drop it right there and go, oh, well, they're in a contract. I guess I'll follow up with you 2 years from now, George. Thanks so much for calling. Have a wonderful day. Don't do that. Don't take one single no for an answer. No one in sales has ever been successful by taking the first no and just going, oh, okay, well, that's it. I guess I couldn't make the sale. Well, let's blame the company. Let's blame the upline. Let's blame this and let's blame that. No! No one has ever been successful by doing that. Let me run you through a pretty hardcore hypothetical situation. Let's say that John Smith has a new iPhone 5, brand new 2-year contract. Let's say it's the first. He went out on New Year's Day, walked into an AT&T store, and said, I want me an iPhone 5. So he just re-upped his 2-year contract, and it's got the highest allowed by law, the dreaded $350 early termination fee. And I want to start this by saying, folks, I have spent over $5,000 to $10,000 to join opportunities where half this good. $350, even if it was just given to Solavei as a thank you for presenting this into our world, would be worth it 10 times over. So first and foremost, the fact that people are using this tends to throw up big time red flags screaming, it's just an excuse, it's just an excuse, it's just an excuse. But you need to overcome that excuse. You need to say something like, I understand how you feel. I kind of felt the same way at first, but let me show you something. I want you to be able to walk them through this story. So take some copious notes here and understand what I'm showing you and how you can present this to others. John Smith, new iPhone, just signed a 2-year contract, $350 early termination fee looming over his head. Let's say that he enrolls with Solavei today and decides he's going to, probably... He's not going to be able to do this full time. He still has a job. He still works. But he figures he could spend at least 1 hour a day, 4 to 5 days a week. He can contact 2 to 3 people a day, 4 to 5 days a week. So he's pretty confident out of those 8 to 10 people, he can get 2 or 3 excited about it. So he starts January 1st. January 1st, 13, he enrolls with Solavei, he shares Waterway, and he says, I'm going to average 2 new lines per week. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to make happen. All right, so the 4th comes, he receives a SIM card. He holds off on activating it just yet. He just receives it in the mail, sets it aside, keeps his old service the way it always was. He's going to let about a month worth of AT&T service that he just signed up for just kind of go by and enjoy it. On the 8th, he has his first 2 people enrolled. Again, 7 days between the 1st and the 8th, first 2 people enrolled. On the 15th, he's now up to 4 people. On the 29th, he's up to 6 people. He's thinking he's doing pretty good. He's following the advice that we're going to give him on this webinar. Again, it's coming up. This is not all rah-rah. I'm going to show you how to do this. He's going to do these things, and he's going to get up to 6 people in his first 30 days. Well, you know what? His 30-day activation notice is coming up, so he goes ahead and activates his SIM, and that cancels his service with AT&T. Again, there is no such thing as the AT&T Gestapo. It doesn't ding his credit. It doesn't make him a horrible person. He just simply has a $350 early termination fee and final bill generated around the 29th. Not the end of the world. No pain, no suffering. Doesn't even lose a minute of sleep over it. February comes along. It's now the following week, so he's got up to 8 people enrolled. His AT&T bill arrives on the 7th, and that's pretty ambitious of AT&T to already have a final bill out to him by the 7th. But again, I'm throwing you the absolute worst case scenario I could fathom in my mind. Because folks, if you can walk somebody through this particular process, everything else from here is a gravy train. So we'll again assume that AT&T is just really on the ball and sends him a bill for $450. Again, we know AT&T service is going to cost him $100 that month, and then his early termination fee is $350. So he gets a $450 bill. But again, folks, AT&T by law has to give him at least 20 days to remunerate that bill. So that bill isn't due until the 27th. So he puts that bill to the side and says, all right, I'll get it paid by the 27th. 2/13 comes around, he has 10 people enrolled. 2/20 comes around, he hits his 12, and that's going to become a magic number for us in the very near future, folks. So again, I want you to write down 12 on your sheet of paper and circle it, because I don't want you to focus on recruiting the world. I don't want you to focus on all of a sudden turning this into a full-time job. It's not for me. It doesn't have to be for you. It's something you can absolutely do with 1 to 2 hours a night as long as you make that commitment. If you're the type of person that comes home from work, eats dinner, watches a couple of episodes of American Idol, and doesn't do anything else with his or her life after that, again, this is probably not going to be for you. I love you. I appreciate you as a customer. It's not going to do anything if that's all you're going to do with it. But if you can make the commitment to spend an hour talking to people on the phone, in personal emails, through text messages, if you can make that commitment to separate yourself from your phone number so you can create some openings for yourself, you're going to get there. But again, we'll get to more of that here in just a second. By 2/20, John has 12 people enrolled, and he has earned himself a $650 fast start bonus. Now, again, I'll throw out another curveball here. What if it takes John longer than that? What if he's only able to recruit maybe 1.25 people a week on average? What if it takes him another 30 days? Let me ask you something. Is there anything stopping John right now from paying his AT&T bill with a credit card and buying himself another 25 to 30 days interest-free to pay off that credit card? All the while earning points on his credit card while doing so? So again, folks, he has anywhere between 60 to 90 days to get himself together and really go after people. But let's say he does it in 60. He earns the full fast start bonus. John can now pay his final bill in full, and on top of that, he gets a $200 profit for himself. That $200 can be spent on advertising for Solavei, promotional materials, or it can just be, a new Nexus 7 tablet, taking himself out to eat a couple of times at the nicest restaurants in town. It can be whatever he wants it to be. He's earned it because he's committed for a whopping 60 days to spend an hour or two sharing Solavei with somebody else. And because his 12 new people equal 4 trios, here's the fun part, folks. He doesn't have to feel guilty about spending that $200 profit. You know why? He's going to enjoy a monthly income of $130 per month forever. As long as his customers stay on board, which they will, because he's going to help them do the same thing, that's a free cell phone and an extra $80 a month. So what does he care if he spends that $200 however he wants? He just raised his net income $80 a month. Again, the magic number here is 12. 2 per week, for about 4 to 8 weeks. Not difficult at all. And again, I'm going to show you the meat of how to do that. Stay with me. Let's go ahead and talk about showing me the money. I know that's what you're all waiting for. We're coming up to about 36 after here, so we're going to get into this and we're going to spend the rest of the night talking about showing you the money. Let's understand the compensation plan first. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. 4 ways to get paid with Solavei, folks. The first one we talked about. When you get first trio, because again, maybe John falls a little bit short of that 60 days. Doesn't mean he's a horrible person. Doesn't mean we're going to slap him on the hand. Doesn't mean anything. It means maybe he doesn't quite get to 12 in the 60 days. Maybe he only gets to 9. Well, if you take the $50 he got from his first 3, plus the $100 he got from his second 3, plus the $200 he got from his third 3, folks, that's still $350. Can anyone on the call please remind Alex how much the early termination fee with AT&T was, please? If you said $350, you got the answer absolutely correct. So again, folks, he doesn't have to be perfect. He can fail, but we're going to set him up for success. And we're going to make sure he makes the commitment to himself and to his family to be successful. And that's just the coolest part of the fast action bonus, folks, is that was specifically designed to overcome the objection, and far too many people are not taking advantage of that. Make sure you're not one of those people. The second thing we're going to talk about is trio pay. And that's what allowed him to make $130 a month. Well, most of the $130 a month anyway. It's what allowed him to make 80 of that $130 a month. Because again, folks, every time you sign up 3 lines, you have a trio. So John shares this for, again, an hour a day, 4 to 5 days a week, and he ends up signing a total of 12 lines. That equals 4 trios. For every trio you have, you make $20. But what if you're a slow starter and you stumble upon a successful person? What happens if John is a slow starter? He ends up having to eat the cancellation fee. That kind of bites. But you know what? John did share this with Sue. And Sue is just tearing into this like it's her job. Sue is just going buck wild with this. She, in 60 days' time, has already put in her 12 people. Well, you know what? Because Sue put in her 12 people, and because the way the trio pay is structured to count not only as your first level, but your second level, Sue gets $20 every month, and John gets $20 every month. So you know what, folks? That $350 doesn't matter. Because if we look at the $80 a month Joe's going to net out for the next 12 months, that's $960 in the year. He still comes out money ahead. And all he did was find Sue. Not a bad play for John on the year. Not bad at all. By the way, his cell phone bill, the money he pays to Solavei, might, I'm not a CPA, might be a tax deduction along the way. Again, we're not here to talk about $130 a month, though. We're not here to talk about a $650 one-time bonus. We're here to show me the money. So let's talk about the next section of our compensation plan, and that's where it gets really good, really quick. Let's talk about in-network versus out-of-network trios. Remember when we talked about John and Sue? Well, anything John does and anything Sue does directly to Sue and directly to John is going to be considered personal network. Now, let's say Sue recruits Frank, who recruits Bob, who recruits Billy, who recruits Jan, and Jan goes buck wild. Well, those trios still count as trios for John, but they're considered out-of-network trios. So when we look at this, when we see the chart right here that says total qualified trios, I want you to look at the chart that actually shows the in-network and out-of-network. So as an example, if we look at the Social Connector 1 level, that gets us a $500 one-time bonus, a monthly income of $200 per month. We need to have 12 total trios. Again, the majority of these 12 can come from anywhere, no matter how far down they are, but at least 4 of them need to come from either John or Sue directly. They need to be personal. Another example right below that, if we want to hit the $400 a month mark, we need to have 16 total trios, again, anywhere in our network. But 5 of those trios have to come from either Sue or John, or again, if John has a couple of other people, they can come from there too. They just need to be personal network trios. I'm not going to get into the 40% rule because you can talk to your upline about that. It's pretty straightforward stuff. It just means that you can't completely ride the coattails of Sue. You can't enjoy all of her trio pay, 100% of her trio pay. You can't enjoy all of the trios that her team brings along the way, but there's a limit to how much it can actually push you up in rank. You have to go get a couple of other Sues, and that's the moral of the story there. But one thing I want you to look at is the social connector 3 position. That's the one that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels away. Understand that this comp plan does max out at $20,000 a month, that's per month, with a one-time $20,000 bonus. And I don't want to discount that at all. But we're going to focus on how can I do this with just 12? How can I do this with just 12? And how can I get to that coveted $1,000 a month spot? Because believe it or not, folks, that's the goal of Ryan Wirch. He understands that, $50 a month is cool. $50 a month is an extra meal out with family or a movie night or that power bill or that little bit of income, that paycheck to paycheck that you were struggling to get to. That brings it a little bit easier for you. $100 is awesome. $200 is even better. $200, now we're talking about real money. That's a car payment. Close to a car payment, maybe a car lease payment. $400, that's a car payment. That's a pretty nice car payment. $1,000 a month, folks. If you take the $1,000 a month I'm making with Solavei right now, folks, and you combine that with my trio pay that I'm also getting, folks, I'm virtually debt-free. And when I say virtually debt-free, you know why I say it that way? Because my car payment and my home payment are my only debts, and that money, the $1,000 a month I make through PathPay, plus my trio pay, takes care of my debts. I have no debts anymore. I'm virtually debt-free just because I got to that particular position. That changed my life. Do you know how much easier it is to go, you know what, I want an iPad mini. Well, with $1,000 a month, I can buy 3 per month for the next year, and I'm still good. Or, I want to take my wife out to a really nice steakhouse. We did that the other night for a date night. It was amazing. One of the most romantic, fun dates I've ever been on in my life. I was able to do that and not even think twice. I could do that 10 times in a month and not even worry about that, folks. That is life-changing money right there. But again, I didn't drag you onto this call to show you maybe $1,200 or $1,300 a month between that $1,000 and trio pay. I brought you on to show you how to maximize that particular length. Let's look at what's required of us to get there. We need to have 6 personal trios. So again, that's 6 personal trios in our first level and second level, and a total of 20 trios network-wide. How do we get there? Well, again, let's assume we're John. And John, again, wanting to beat his contract and turn this thing into a real-life business, decides to go out and get himself 4 trios. For those math wizards out there, yes, that is 12 lines divided by 3 per line, 3 per trio. That's 4 trios. But then John decided he wanted to teach those 4 people to do the same. So we've got his first level and his second level each do the same. They each get their 12. Here's what happens, folks. Count the trios up. We've got 5 over on the right, 5 just over from the right, 5 just over from the right, and 5 right there. That is the 20 trios. I'm going to back up real quick so you can see it again. That is the 20 total trios, all of which are in his personal network. So he blew that number out. All of which are in his personal network. Folks, look how far it can grow. Look down the qualified trio in personal network. He can make all the way to 8,000. He doesn't need his personal network to grow anymore. He can let that business naturally grow and naturally aggregate all the way up to $8,000 a month in PathPay, because he already has 20 qualified in-network personal trios. But you know what? Let's say that it just stops right there. He's already hit his 20 total trios, and he's making $1,000 a month. He's made $500 on that one-time PathPay along the way, and all he's done is gotten his 12 and shared this webinar, shared this recording, shared this with those 12, and helped them get their 12. That's all he's done. He's gotten 4 trios and helped those 4 trios each get 4 trios of their own. Let's take a look at what happens with that. Here's your money. Not only has he gotten a $650 fast start bonus, not only has he hit the one-time $500 PathPay along the way, he's now making $1,400 a month in residual income. Month after month after month after month after month after month after month. $1,400 a month. Well, whoop-de-doo, Alex. $1,400 a month, 12 months, that's $1,680 a year. That's still considered poverty line. Big deal. Well, wait a second. Lynn and my dad and I hit this mark for 2 positions. He hit it for his position and I hit it for my position. And we did it in less than 4 months. So 2 positions In less than 4 months, that's 32, 33, 6 a year for life in less than 4 months. In a year's time, we should be able to do this 3 times over. Every 4 months times 3, 12 months. We should be able to do this 3 times over. You can have up to 6 positions in Solavei under one name. Well, 3 times in a year, that means 2 years. If I stick with this for 2 years and I make the commitments Alex is about to show me, I'll end up building a residual income of over $100,000 per year. Did y'all feel that? I did. And I'm not trying to ham it up. I'm not trying to be corny. I literally just felt the temperature in the room drop. I got so excited. A 6-figure annual residual income by putting in some work and sharing an amazing product with little to no downside with others. Boom, right there. And again, like I said, do you think that all of these people that have already built, do you think they're just going to stop? Or do you think you might have 1 or 2 of these people just tear it up and end up putting you or one of your spots at the $8,000 a month position, at the $10,000 a month position, the $20,000 a month position? Folks, the possibilities are entirely up to you. And that is my disclaimer for this, folks. I'm not promising you any of this money. I'm saying I'll show you the path. And how far you want to walk down it is up to you. You could make nothing with this. You could go broke trying to market this all the wrong ways. You could ignore me. You can make nothing, or you can make this. It's entirely up to you. So my question to you is, what are you willing to do in 2013 to ensure your success? You know, I'm 31, 30 years old, somewhere in there. I lost count. I'm still what many people might consider a pretty young buck. And I, even at my age, worry like crazy about whether or not Social Security is going to be around when it comes time for me to retire, whether or not I'm going to have enough money in the bank to retire, whether or not I'm going to be able to leave my wife with anything if I should leave this earth a little bit earlier than I'd want. All of these things are questions in my mind. They should be questions in your mind too, especially if you might be older than me. Are you willing to do what it takes for 1 year or 2 years to put yourself and your family in this kind of position? It's up to you. I can't answer that question for you. That's up to you, your wife, your kids, and God. That's where I have to leave it. But if you're willing to make the commitment, if you're willing to do what it takes, I'm going to show you the way to get your 12. And then if you can show others this exact same process, if you can bring up a video and sit with them and hit play, I'm confident, I'm very confident they'll be able to do the same thing. Okay, those of you that are still around, those of you that have tolerated me for this long, you're in. So how do we get her done? Take a second and scribble out this chart. I'm going to grab a sip of Sprite that I've got in front of me here to kind of just help me talk a little bit better. And while I do that, I want you to quickly sketch out this T-chart. This chart I built intentionally with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. What's 6 times 4? It's 24, you're right. I know for a fact there are going to be people that will tell you no. But I also know for a fact the number of people that tell you no are going to probably tell you no because they're in a contract or because they want their iPhone to work. And now I've equipped you with the 2 best ways to overcome those objections. So I know your close rate's going to go from maybe 10, 20, 30, 40%. I know your close rate's going to go well above 50%. And I know that if it's not above 50%, if it's only at 25%, I know your close rate's going to get there because you're going to do this chart twice. If your close rate still is at 10%, you're going to do this chart 4 times. Do you know why you're going to want to do this chart 4 times? Let me show it to you. Let me remind you of why you're going to do whatever it takes to get to your 12. That's why you're going to do it. So bring up this chart again, Alex. Fair enough. Who do we know that has T-Mobile? Folks, if this is the lowest of the lowest hanging fruit. Their phones are already 100% compatible. You've just got to get them to maybe break their cancellation fee and get them going. That's it. You're going to save them money because our plan versus T-Mobile's plan is a better value hands down. Plus we pay people for referrals. We win. Period. So if you're not willing to at least come up with 4 people that are currently on T-Mobile, you either have very, very few friends, and we might need to talk about cold market leads, and that's fine. Contact me, we can do that. Or you're just not looking hard enough. If you're not willing to go after that low-hanging fruit, how do you ever expect to reach the top? So write down, start thinking about people who may or may not have T-Mobile. Even if you're not sure, if you think you've seen a T-Mobile phone in their hand at one point in time, scribble their name down. And it's okay to go over 4. If you're all ready to drop 8 into this column, don't let me get in your way. Do it. The next group of people I go after, who will join you simply because you ask? Folks, believe it or not, and I know people always say, oh, I don't want to go after my friends and family. They won't talk to me anymore. They don't love me anymore. They don't want to talk my calls. It's rough. That's an excuse. That's something that is keeping you from that 6-figure income I just shared with you. If you want to be poor and enjoy that excuse, great, do it. Or if you want to share this with somebody, you want to talk to somebody, you want to bring people in just because you ask, do that too. You know who is going to fall in this chart for me? The people that have already joined. My brother, my wife, my friends. They were easy. They were low-hanging fruit. I'm actually still working on my brother. He's not quite there yet, but he's going to be. He told me no initially. I came back with a rebuttal. He told me no again. I came back with a rebuttal. He told me no again. Hey, I value our relationship. This is the last you're going to hear from me on it. But trust me, when I'm making a lot of money, you're probably going to want to talk to me again. Fair enough. Fair enough. Who are the last 6 people you emailed, had true email conversations with? Go back into your Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, Outlook, whatever it is. Who are the last 6 people, non-business people, that you personally emailed back and forth with? Those people are probably good candidates to share this with. Who are the last 6 people you've had meaningful conversations, telephone calls? And folks, if there's some overlap here, that's fine. But there shouldn't be 100% overlap. You should try and be unique people. Make sure they fit in one or the other. Who's the last 6 people you've chatted with on Facebook? We are a social revolution, social company. So that's who you need to be talking to. I also would ask that you make a commitment to just post on your Facebook wall about Solavei once a day. I can tell you that is where we have found so many leads. Just posting once a day. Our leader, our upline, Ryan, is just an amazing man. Very fun to hang out with, very fun to talk to, and just a great guy all around. And one thing he taught us in our Facebook group is that if you post 3 times a day for the next 90 days, regardless of the consequences, you're going to be surprised at what you get. And I firmly believe that. I'm not quite able to commit to that 3 times a day, but you better believe I'm going to post 1 or 2 times a day, and I'm not going to feel bad. He's reaching for the stars, and he's going to grab them. And if I land on the moon, God bless me and him both. No harm in doing what you can. And then last but not least, who are mutual friends? Look back across this list of 20 on all the other columns you filled out, and who do you know that knows that person? You know, if I've got Tom in that first column, first square, who do I know that also knows Tom? May not be as close, but would still be willing to take my call or email. Okay, so I've got you a leads list. I've got you a list of people we can talk to. How do we approach them? How do we break that ice? Regardless of whether or not we ported our number or not, I need to know how to break the ice. Fair enough. Here's your sample phone call. Hey, John, it's Alex. How are you doing, man? Oh, good. Weather, children, blah, blah, blah. Hey, great. The reason I called was actually just quickly to see who your cell phone was with. AT&T. Cool. How much are they charging you per line? Okay, real quick, if I had a way to cut that in half and show you how to make some extra money on the side while doing it, would you be interested? If he says no, say, well, why not? Are you opposed to saving money or making money? Oh, well, I think it's a thing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's objection 1. Yeah, I understand, and I probably have shown you some bad stuff in the past, but hear me out. This is legit. This is backed by the former VP of Amazon, the former VP of T-Mobile. This has got some tremendous amount of money, tremendous amount of backing. This thing's for real. Promise me you'll at least give me 30 seconds to convince you. If he says no again, that's more than enough rejection for the day. You tried. They're done. On to the next one. But you can overcome. You can. Notice how I built in the no and it didn't stop me. It didn't hurt me. It didn't make me quit. It didn't make me feel like less of a person. It just made me want to go at him stronger. Find that and use it. A little bit more timid, don't want to start out with the phone calls, fair enough. It's going to take you longer to get there, but if you promise to do more emails, maybe 2 hours a day, 2.5 hours a day, of copying and pasting emails and inserting names, coming up with more leads, beefing up your leads list from 24 to maybe 100, cool. Send out this email. Hey, so-and-so, haven't heard, hey, I don't know, excuse me, hey, I don't have a ton of time, but I wanted to drop you a quick line to see who your cell phone carrier is. Also, about how much are you spending per line with them? Can you let me know ASAP? Thanks. And when they write you back, again, just go back to this. Thanks so much for emailing me back. If I had a way to cut that in half and show you how to make some extra money, sharing it with others, would you be interested? If they write back yes or no, it doesn't matter. You still come back and say, if they say no, you still come back with the same answer. Call them and say, hey, I'm confused by your last email. You opposed to making money or saving money? Oh, I've already heard of Solavei before, and I think it's a pyramid scheme, and I don't get into pyramid schemes. Fair enough, but, you know, I even felt the same way you did, and I stopped to think about it. You know, I used to work at Dell Computers, and you know I used to be a sales rep there, and, you know, I stopped and I thought about it. I was like, I was on a team of about 20 sales guys, and there was probably a good 1,000 teams of 20 nationwide with Dell. And all of those teams reported to our sales managers. We got paid based on the sales that we make. Our sales managers, which went from teams of 20 to, you know, if there was 20,000 of us, there might have been maybe, I don't know, 100 to 150 of them. And then if you go above them, their managers, their district managers got paid on the sales that we made. And there was maybe 25 of them. And if you keep rolling up, it starts to pretty much look like a pyramid to me. So I get that. I get that you don't want to be part of some pyramid thing, but what if I told you there was no recruitment fees, there was no recruitment bonuses, there's nothing that's scammy or pyramidy about this. If you walk into a Verizon store and ask them what it takes to switch a line, you're going to hear the exact same things from me. The only difference is that when you go through me, you're helping me, and I'm your friend. Let's see him say no to that. So folks, again, we're going to wrap this up tonight. We're right on time. We've got about a minute left. I want you to make some commitments. I want you to reach out and share Solavei with one person a day. One person a day. Less than an hour. Less than 15 minutes in most cases. I want you to post about Solavei on Facebook and Twitter every day. I want you to follow that chart. I want you to watch one less hour of television every week. If I have to explain why that is, I may have already lost you. I want you to commit that you're not going to let the I'm in a contract or I have an iPhone immediately shut you down. I want you to commit to build it big in 2013, and I want you to be ready for the next thing that's coming. And folks, this webinar is going to be huge. If you're in and you're ready to commit, don't even worry about enrolling people. You can and you should, but if they're still on the fence, just at very least, if you can't get them to commit to enrolling, get them to commit to the webinar on the 15th. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be awesome. 9 seconds left before the top of the hour. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I hope I've helped some of you on this call. I hope I've helped all of you on this call. I hope I've helped maybe even one of you on this call. Again, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Take care, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.